Hey guys, what it do? It's your boy Supreme Uchiha the God, and today I want to talk about elite, genius, high quality, high tier writing. And what else can I be talking about except Monster? Monster is, I'm only 15 chapters deep, but you can tell high quality writing. You can tell it apart from, I don't want to say mediocre, but typical or good but okay writing. You can just tell when somebody has narrative focus, when somebody has characters and characterization to the next level. You can tell when somebody is creating and building a world that's breathing alive and is full of slight minute details and quality that you just don't get in every story. A lot of stories are very basic in nature. The characters are very basic in nature in within that self. You know what I'm saying? So I just reading Monster took me away, took me to a different plane. Really, it was one of those things that just when you read a story and a story speaks to you at a deeper level, when the characters are so introspective and so layered and so deep and so nuanced that you really feel like these are living, breathing people and not just characters. And this is what you get when it comes to a lot of mangas, webtoons, etc. People are obsessed over caricatures. They obsess over people they can never be. Lofty goals of being Hokage. The Super Saiyan. Being the strongest person on earth. Being the toughest. Being the one with the biggest dream. Being the one that never gives up. First is when you meet a character that's very much like you. A character that has lost their ways and is trying to regain themselves in a way, and a person that's starting almost at their worst in terms of who they are and their own beliefs, and then moving the other way from that. I think that's brilliant. It's extremely difficult to do, to create such realism and yet to keep the story gripping. And if anything at all, I can tell you that this story is gripping. The twists and turns, the way it's written. Somebody commented to me and was like, "Oh man, Monster's better on Attack on Titan." I was thinking, this man tripping. And look, I'm only 15 chapters in deep. I don't think it's Attack on Titan. I think Attack on Titan is the greatest for reasons maybe beyond just narrative and stuff like that. It's also scope. I think scope kind of plays a role because it is harder to portray larger scopes than it is to keep a tight grit knit thriller story like Monster. It's harder. Like, I mean, if you're gonna make a story like Monster, you really want to be highly in tune and really do your research and really, and one thing I just realized, Japan loves Germany. They love portraying Germany. Think about it. Monster, think about Full Metal Alchemist, and I'm pretty sure there's a few more that do it. Frankenstein, names like Frankenstein and stuff like that. They love that kind of area of Europe. It's interesting. But yeah, man, I really enjoyed. I'm enjoying reading Monster. I can't really recommend it much more. I don't want to speak too much without spoiling it, but all I can tell you is if you like real grippy, if you like thriller action, if you like I don't want to say necessarily action. If you like, it's kind of detectivity, but it's like detectivity is not even a word. It's kind of like a detective thing, but it's not because it follows a doctor. But I can't tell you anything else without spoiling it. To be honest, all I can tell you, it follows a doctor, and it's just gripping. It's absolutely gripping. It's the way I talked about Windbreak when I first suggested it to y'all. Like it's about cycling, but it's more than that. It's about a doctor, but it's way, way, way more than that. Way, way deeper than that. It's about a person, doing what they need to do for their dreams and their goals, and then realizing that they're actually sacrificing themselves in the process, and that maybe it's not worth it. Maybe it's better to stick to the true selves. And that's the interesting about it. That's the interesting thing about it. Look, I'm out of words, man, because the story is just spectacular, and you should definitely read it. It is genius writing, genius. The way the characters are brought in, and the way characters are dealt with, the depth in which you get into the characters. You don't need too a crazy amount of chapters to get to know what you need to know for the story. It doesn't really waste your time. Every chapter gets to the point, tells you what's happening. It leaves clues for you to figure out what's going to happen next. And then it's up to the reader. You know, I think a good story is a story that you can figure out everything that's happening based off of the information you've been given. Now, doesn't mean that there can't be just shock, wham surprises. There can be if it's dealt with and built up correctly, and when it pops out, it still makes sense. A good story must be written in a way that, you know, it makes sense. Everything that happens makes sense. If Kaguya pops off out of nowhere in Naruto and it felt jarring, it was because it was jarring, and it wasn't jarring in a good way. So that's just something I'd have to say, man. The writing in this so far, in these 15 chapters, have been so impeccable, and I've full faith that the story is gonna stay impeccable. Anyways, check that shit out. It's finished years ago. It's an 11-year-old story, maybe 12, 13. It's pretty old, but the quality of it is still really up there in terms of the art style and stuff like that, and the story quality is just above and beyond. Anyways, it's been your boy Supreme Uchiha the God. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe.
I got friends now. You ain't know, but I got friends now. I'm balling out with my friends now.